Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Barb Meets World, and I am here today to discuss the Real Housewives of Atlanta's season 16, episodes 7 and 8, y'all. Yes, but before we get into all that, you already know I need you guys to do a couple of things for moi, which include liking the video. Yes, like the video for me because it helps me and my channel in terms of the algorithm. It helps me attract new subscribers such as yourself. And if you are not a current subscriber, go ahead, hit the subscription button and become a Barb's babe. I would love to have you. Also, let me know what you guys thought of these episodes, as well as my commentary in the comments section below. Hit the notification bell so you know each and every time I make an upload, and share me with all of your folks. Okay, and here we are. What's going on, y'all? Long time no see. I already know what you guys are already thinking, like, girl, what you been at? You just kind of left us hanging. We ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. Y'all know. Life be lifing, but that is not an excuse. Nonetheless, actually, I can't even say that life has been lifing as much as I just been so freaking busy, y'all, to the point that I just got off of vacation earlier this week. I went on a 7-day cruise it was a family cruise. So we were out, and Wi-Fi situation, it was a lot going on with that. So that was 1 week. And then right before that, we actually traveled. The 7-day cruise actually turned into like a 10-day fiasco because we had to actually fly to DC before that to take care of some things. My husband was asked to be a honorary speaker at an event, so we had to do that. And what else? Coachella, went to Coachella last night. I saw the Queen. I saw the Queen in concert. I saw Beyonce. It's been a lot of exciting things, y'all, behind the scenes that kept me away from you guys. So I do sincerely apologize. Y'all know that sometimes I might stay gone for a little bit, but I always come back. And I always try to make up for the time that has been lost, which is why, as you guys know, since we are going into episode 10 of the season at this point, that I'm really going to just hit the high points on these 2 episodes. And then in my next video that I will be putting up dedicated to episode 9, I'm going to give you, my full out scene by scene commentary, recap review style. But as far as this goes, let's just jump into it, y'all. Make sure you are following me on my socials below, because were following me on my social medias, especially Instagram. You would have seen that your girl has been on a world tour her damn self, it seems like. So I'm happy to be back, y'all, and I'm happy to be here discussing this season with you guys still, because honey, we're about midway through. We got the mid-season trailer this past week, so it's a lot going on. So let's get spun up without further ado. Episode 7, Nashville Hold Em. That episode began with Brit, Blair, Bianca, whatever you guys want to call her. Yeah, that girl right. Yeah, her. Yeah, she was shopping for a new car. I believe she said her husband, they get a new car every so often, every year or two, something like that. And I'm just like, girl, just admit that it's leased. Nothing wrong with having a leased car. This is actually the first car that I have financed, and I think my previous 2 cars were leased, 2 or 3 cars. So I love a lease, okay? Because yes, you can roll into a new whip when you see fit, oftentimes. And a lot of times these days, leases are lease to own. So ain't nothing wrong with that. Just be honest. Nonetheless, y'all peeped how her husband because she threw her like leg up in the air or whatever. She's being all extra. Y'all peeped how her husband was like, you're doing too much. And if I'm not mistaken, that was like his second time this season telling her she's doing too much. She's being extra, however you want to put it. Just had to yeah, I clocked that. I definitely clocked that. And you know what else I clocked, y'all? I clocked that, like I said earlier, that we are now going into episode 10, and we still do not know what this man does for a living. She's been, yeah. She wore that atrocious get up, if you ask me, on Watch What Happens Live. I was just about to ask, has she been on there? But I remember, yep, she definitely was. I don't think he was there though. Nonetheless, again, girl, what does your husband do? Inquiring minds would love to know. Moving right along, there was a scene with Angela, or no, not Angela. There was a scene with Kelli, who had Cynthia, Porsha, and Shamea over. And the one thing I wanted to point out with this is when Cynthia was speaking on her two divorces, she was talking about what she's looking for as far as a future partner. She's looking for someone who's financially secure, good hygiene, already has kids, etc., etc. And I really just wanted to highlight that because this is actually a point of scrutiny that Cynthia often receives. And she spoke about this on Nene's new show down here on YouTube, where Cynthia doesn't understand why she gets the backlash she does when people are always trying to throw in her face back, oh, you've been married so many times, like, girl, give it a rest, maybe it just ain't for you, yada yada yada. And my whole thing with that is, no, technically speaking, she has been divorced twice, which I don't think that that's like a lot, especially given where you could have been at in, you know, your life, or the history between you and that person, or whatever. I don't think that that's not like 18 marriages or anything like that. It is what it is. Sometimes it just doesn't work out with folks. But I feel like sometimes with relationships, though, with breakups, you should be learning from them, and you should be cognizant of what you want to see in your future partners and stuff, and try not to make, you know, the same choices that you made that may have led you to be with the wrong individual, especially because she said like there were certain red flags, there were like financial like issues and stuff like that on the front end with Peter, if I'm not mistaken, she was saying to Nene. So it's just like, just make sure you're moving wisely when you do enter these new relationships. And if you guys caught I believe it was on one of my previous Bravo 411s, Cynthia actually is with someone new who's younger than her. She calls him Amsterdam because he's from Amsterdam or whatever. So I do hope it works out for her. Anyway, Brit says she was there to speak her piece, and the first thing Angela said was like, oh, I know insurance. How was that even possible that you got your license is under investigation or fast? She's saying that to her husband, mind you, y'all. I just was irritated with that because, one, girl, that's not at all how that went down. I don't feel as though Angela was speaking with an attitude at all when she asked you that question. It was a simple question. You, my friend, you, my girl, turned up for no reason, which is something that is becoming very characteristic of you on this show. So make sure when you recap a story to your husband that it's the correct story, because that's not how it went down. You put some extra sauce on it. So I'm going to bring it up. You know what else I'm going to bring up, y'all? When it comes to Blair, I'm going to bring up the fact that she is also fraudulent when it comes to just how this whole thing transpired. Because when you really think of it, y'all, the timeline of things, this show was filming. It's not like we had seen this in real time, what happened down at Kenya's salon and all of that. We waited up until now to find out the real deal on what went down. So I say that to say, how was it even possible, allegedly, for your license to have been under investigation from the get-go when this didn't, hit the world? This didn't become a known topic, a known like public topic until pretty much like now and stuff like that. So what were they investigating when you guys were filming? Like, what concrete evidence did they really have to launch an investigation if nothing really had been released to the public? Yes, could there have been leaks from the people that were there, because it was obviously other people other than just the housewives and stuff? Yes, but that still just doesn't make sense to me. I can understand if she said now, since all of this had came about and been released, that her license be under investigations now, but at this point in time, nobody really knew, but it was a word of mouth thing. So she just doesn't make any sense to me. Moving along, what else happened in this episode? Okay, Brit had claimed to also be an open book when her and Drew sat down to clear the air or whatever between them. She was talking about how she went into the peace brunch and everything, trying to, speak her piece and garner their support, because that's what she thought was going to happen. She thought that individuals that had just met her 5 minutes ago were going to sell their homegirl that they've been down with for years and years and years up the river just to come and support you. For what reason exactly? Whatever. So in this moment, though, she is claiming to be, someone who is an open book, only for Drew to ask her it. She cocks her head to the side and she's like, "Did you ever sell it?" Y'all, I know when I say this, I know that y'all were laughing with me because that was absolutely hilarious. I died laughing when Drew asked her that. That was definitely TV gold. And she asked her, like, has she ever done porn and stuff like that? And Brit, of course, said no. But quite honestly, if she did, she did. If she didn't, she didn't. I don't care. Ultimately, we have seen some things online that look a little questionable, but nonetheless, it's just, we're not gonna keep playing this game as though the middle point is the starting point. We're not gonna keep hyper focusing on the reaction in this matter more than we're going to overlook the initial action, which had something to do with a pew pew. So come on now. But I did think that was funny. And she's still going on to don this victim cape because she's like, imagine everything you've worked for is overshadowed by someone calling you a whore. I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. Just put yourself in my shoes. Girl, give it a rest. You're talking about everything you've done is being overshadowed. We don't even know the things you've done. We know what you say you've done, but again, y'all, just like we don't know what her husband does for a living, we don't see nothing concrete coming from your direction either. And because I'm sure you guys have watched episode 9 by now, I also peeped that she has a shapewear line or whatever. That's the first time I've heard anything about that. You say you dissolved the business some years ago, and it's been said online that your license wasn't even active, or it's just a lot of questionable stuff around her is what I've been picking up. So for you to sit here and act like, oh, everything you've done is overshadowed, and now you're just labeled as a whore, and all this hard work you put in, it's just not. It's not being exemplified by it's not coming through on our screens, on my screen at least. Y'all let me know in the comments if you feel differently. But come on now, like, we're not even gonna do this. We're not even gonna do this. What else? I think that was it for that little scene. Moving right along. Drew and Ralph had went to court during this episode as well. And I was really glad to see that Allison was right there to lend her sister her support. And what I want to know is that so y'all don't see anything wrong with Ralph having confessionals, Dennis having confessionals, him having his own like home video set up. Y'all don't see anything wrong with giving him so much of the spotlight, but not giving Kenya the space to speak on a matter that she was involved in that became a major storyline of this season. I can't make sense of that, to save my life. But the main thing about this scene to me was how Drew was so steadfast at mentioning how the divorce records, in her opinion, in her lawyer's opinion, that is something that they were going into this whole thing trying to have be sealed, and for him to actually also move out this day. So unfortunately for her, none of that had happened. And so does that mean that it's public right now then, the records? Like, has anybody, I'm never trying to be all up in nobody's business, but I'm sure the freaking detectives, the social media detectives have already dug it up if it is out there. I haven't heard anything though, or anything like that. But my whole thing is, Drew, why are you going so hard wanting to keep these documents sealed in order for Ralph to have, his image upheld or whatever? It's really giving that you have something up in there that you don't want to get out. Just saying. It's really giving that you don't want to face the backlash that you may face should something something come out of it. I can't see it a different way. Am I going to go ahead and say that because some people still think that they're divorcing is fake and everything? No, I won't say that, because she was quick to call him dumbass at the end of this scene and stuff like that out the car window. But I don't even understand why he's on the show to the degree that he's on it. I don't understand why she's going so hard wanting to safeguard these documents. I understand that you don't want to put anything harsh on your children, but the truth is the truth. Relay it to them in a way that they can comprehend, and that is age appropriate, of course. But for you to go so hard trying to make sure that he don't look bad to them or to whoever, you're exhausting yourself for what reason exactly? Because at the end of the day, he's the one that chose to do what he did or didn't do or whatever. So that's the bed that he has to lie in it. Stop trying to clean up. Y'all got to stop trying to want to clean up other people's messes. Y'all got to stop going harder for other people and what they did, what they got going on than you do for yourself and what you got going on and stuff like that. Because what are you going to get out of it in the end? He wouldn't obviously do the same for you. I feel like you would put your shit on a fucking 80 foot by 80 foot by 80 foot by 80 foot billboard in Times Square, if you ask me. So, Drew, come on now. Moving on. So they are now en route to Nashville to celebrate Porsha's birthday at this point in the episode, y'all. And I gotta pause right here because I was automatically irritated with Porsha specifically because she tried to make this whole thing about how for the last 3 years. She's done nothing but travel with Simon. So this is just like so bizarre for her to be celebrating her birthday when it's just been like them together like the last 3 years, whatever. I'm like, yeah, last 3 years out of what? Porsha's like 44, right? 43, 44, something like that. So for 40 plus other years of your life, for the bulk of years of your life, you have traveled with just yourself or whatever, or friends, however you want to put. You ain't traveled with him. So stop trying to make it seem like he is just all you've ever known and you are just so lost without him. Sorry about that, y'all. Got an important email. Moving right along. So I'm just like really irritated when she says stuff like that. Moving along. Did anything else happen in this episode? Yes, Porsha had invited additional friends to celebrate with them, which I recognize a couple people. Monietta, of course, the McClure twins, a mom, I think her name is Amy, if I'm not mistaken. Lauren was there, and I think that might have been it. But my whole thing is when Porsha's friend had to just blatantly let everybody know that Drew allegedly sucked some dick, she just like threw that out there. Porsha did nothing to clean that up. And on one hand, you like, she just keeps flip-flopping. It's like on one hand, I am mad at her. Dennis should know better. He should choose me and Pilar. He should choose his family. On the other hand, Angela did it. She knew what she was doing. She was trying to turn everybody against Drew, and like she's just doing all this pointing and changing up her story every 5 minutes, and I can't even keep up with it at this point. But what I can keep up with is the fact that you allowed your friend to sit there and throw that out there and place that on Drew's name, and you didn't do anything about it. You didn't, and last time I checked, you don't even know definitively or not if like who she's quote unquote sleeping with or sucking or whatever, because in episode 9 you were asking Dennis about that. So that sounds like some stuff that you either put her up to saying in front of everybody, or she just decided to do it for whatever reason because she wanted her own little 15 seconds of fame. And again, you did nothing to rectify that, which is mighty familiar, y'all, if I'm not mistaken, to the same exact approach she took to the whole Phaedra versus Todd Candy and Shamea fiasco, rumor, issue, situation and seasons prior. Porsha also didn't do anything to clarify any lies being placed on a friend there. So I guess the expectation shouldn't really, I shouldn't be surprised, but I just had to bring that up. Moving along to episode 8, y'all. So episode 8, boots on the ground, Nashville, day 2. First thing I want to talk about, Shamea. Shamea had a FaceTime call between Shiloh's doctor and her husband, Gerald. And during the FaceTime call, we find out that Shiloh had been like having some congestion issues, but as of right now, everything looked good according to the doctor. Shamea starts to get emotional, and in her confessional, she goes on to talk about how she hasn't had to face one challenge alone when it comes to parenting and everything, I guess, right? So Gerald, he's been there for every step of the way, to the point that now she is just so dead set on wanting to serve him up with the repayment of a third baby / son. Like, she feels as though that is just owed to him, because and that sounds crazy as hell to me right there, because it's just like, girl, because he's done what he's supposed to do as a father and husband, you feel as though that it is your a God-given burden to make sure that come hook or come crook, you give him what he wants. I just, I can't get down with that, y'all. I can't get down with that. Shamea's logic is very questionable to me. She says if it's God's plan for them to have another child, then they will. And I'm like, okay, but, and trigger warning, excuse my bluntness when I say this, but you've already lost 2 children, I believe, right? Specifically, you've lost, you've had 2 miscarriages. So maybe that is a sign that it isn't in y'all's future to have another child, and for you to focus on the 2 that you do have, or to seek alternative means, meaning a surrogate, which we see her meet up with in the next episode and stuff, or adoption, or what have you. But for you to already be up to here with everything that you got going on in life, you do have a support system, thank God for your family and stuff like that, but you're still like drowning in like all the stuff you have going on in life and stuff like that. Like, why are you taking on more like, why are you taking on like the brunt of all of this when it just may not be what is meant to be? He will be okay, and that's just gonna be that. I can't with her. I can't. Angela's wig in this next scene was, I'm like, girl, come on now. But anyway, Drew does actually show up on the trip because we know that Angela took it upon herself to invite her, and she shows up and everything. And when she does, Angela's telling her that can she go ahead and talk to Porsha so that he can be off her. And my whole only thing with that is because then she goes on to say that if she could do it all over again, she would still invite Drew because she doesn't give a fuck. And I'm all down for that type of energy through and through. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just like a little questionable when it comes to Angela and how she's navigating, because it's like on one hand, you're like standing in your stuff. You're not afraid to say what needs to be said, or to tug on this person's wig a little bit, or, you know, be the charade of the group, so to speak, it seems like. But in so many breaths, you're doing that. But then on the flip side, when it's a fan, you're talking about, oh, get the heat off of me, or at the end of this trip, you're trying to leave or whatever. And I'm just like, so people are going hard for you, saying, you know, this is what we want to see on this housewife, the one that can stand on her own and handle business, stuff like that. And I am 100% behind that. But it's like, are you fully that person though? Because it seems like when push comes to shove, you might, when we're talking about a person that is going to just stand grounded in it, are you truly going to do that? Or is it going to, like, if you flight, are you going to fly off? Like, what? I don't know. Just my thoughts, y'all. We also find out in this episode that Shamea, well, she had spoke about it at the PSA event back in 2018, Kenya's PSA event. And trigger warning for DV, but Shamea was a victim of DV, and I didn't even know she was married previously for a year back in 2008. No idea about that. So we kind of like dived into that a little bit. And then I also had to remember too that Cynthia's mom spoke at that same PSA event. So that was an interesting discovery for me. Like I said before, I didn't know she was married, and that's never something great to hear, that somebody was a victim of something so heinous and traumatizing and hurtful. But it's still, I'm still questioning your logic, Shamea. I do feel terribly that is something that you've had to endure, but girl, I don't know. I don't know what you be thinking sometimes when it comes to other stuff, though, in your life. I don't. What else happened? You all know I'm never here to drag the girls for their fashions because I don't want nobody here to drag. Well, okay. I just lie a little bit because I'm always tell it like it is. If you look crazy, I'm pointing out. I'm pointing out. I'm sorry. I'm a fashion girl. Can't help it. But I say that to say that dress however you want to dress. I'm never going to sit here and say, you got to dress like me because I'm the blueprint. No. But what I will say is, I feel like the outfits they're wearing during daytime were outfits they should have worn during the nighttime. And mainly who I'm talking about when I say that is Brit and freaking Kelli, because Kelli had on entire pasties at 12 p.m. noon at lunchtime, and Brit's entire BBL was out. So I was just like, wow, that was a lot. That was a lot for me to see over my turkey sandwich. I'm just saying. So that was funny though to me. What else happened in episode 8? Honestly, I don't have much to say about this episode, not because it was terrible, but because we got individuals like Porsha, like I said before, that I keep trying to like twist and turn the narrative to fit what they want us to focus on so that they could deflect from what we really want to talk about, which is how you ran off with that lady's husband and her Hennessy. Shout outs to Rodney the Voice. But we can't get into that, but we can talk about how Drew ain't ish and you want to act like you're over in one moment only to then do something to prove that you're not, like showing up to your dinner in all black like the plague because apparently somebody called you to tell you that Drew and Dennis had been filming, which I'm like, did production tell you that, or did some other, like, who's this other random person that just randomly called you to let you know that? Like, that's just whatever you say, Porsha, whatever you say. Angela, I also need you to stop being the first one to apologize, because you've now apologized, I feel like, to 2 people on 2 different occasions, initiated those apologies, and I don't feel as though that was those individuals didn't deserve those apologies in those moments, and they're also probably going to just think that they won against you because look, I got her apologizing to me and now I can escape accountability. Have you guys also been noticing too, and I'm starting to understand why Kenya may have the bone she has out there to pick with Cynthia, out there to pick with her, because it's just like, I get it. You want to keep your job. I understand bills need to be paid. You want to get to know everybody on your own. You don't agree with what Kenya did. Like, I can understand all those things, y'all. But what I can't understand is, like, I feel like Cynthia's laying on a little bit thicker than it needs to be when it comes to Brit. If you are just so much if you're so much Kenya's friend, I just feel like she's been laying on a bit thick. And even in this moment of the episode where Brit is telling her how she's just appreciated her support and stuff like that, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I could understand why Kenya can have a little bit of an issue with that. Not saying that she should just cut you off without any type of conversation, or that she needs to be able to dictate who you can be friends with or have relationships with or anything like that. No, but I don't know. I just feel like you could just pull back just a little bit more and still lead with, like, Kimmy's my girl through and through. I don't agree with what she did. I'm always going to be friends with her, there for her. I'm always going to be team twirl. However, just understand that I am not complicit by any means with what she did. I hate that happened to you. I'm not trying to get intertwined into all of that or anything like that. And just kind of, I would just focus on other elements then, and focus on not that situation when it comes to you being around her and stuff like that. But that's just me. And then Porsha flipped again, even in this moment when Cynthia went to go check on her, because she's like, you know, it wasn't even all about Angela, but then she just told Angela, she just gave her Angela her ass to kiss at the table. So it's just like, okay, so then it is about Drew, but then you're like, no, I don't want to have daggers. I'm not the type of person that when I'm over something, like I'm not going to just have daggers every time I see them. I'm straight, like, girl, pick a side and stay there. Ugh. And the final scene, y'all, was kind of a spicy one because the ladies were all at the pool. And by all, I mean Kelli, Brit, Porsha, and Shamea were out at the pool, twerking, throwing some dollars, popping a bottle or two, having a good old time. And Angela's room was right there, like overlooking the pool. And they were loud and drunk, of course, acting a donkey. And the conversation kind of started to take a turn to where they meaning mainly Porsha in this case, were talking not so nicely about Angela. And specifically, Porsha allegedly said that she should fuck her husband, as in fuck Angela's husband, as in Charles. And that's when Angela took upon herself to go down there and it's like, you know, y'all can keep saying my name and stuff like that. Well, Beetlejuice has arrived. So, and when she confronted Porsha, she was just like, and like walked away or whatever. And on 1 minute, then this is also a story that has flip-flopped throughout the episodes too. And we'll get into that more during episode 9. But I just need people to understand and see people for who they are and act accordingly and handle those people accordingly, because could not be me. Could not be me at all. Anyway, y'all, that's all I have to say about these 2 episodes. Again, I do apologize for my lateness. I really, really do. Please, y'all, don't forget to like the video. Trying to get back into the algorithm. Trying to make sure that my videos are getting noticed up here on YouTube or whatever, attracting new subscribers, like I said earlier, such as yourself, all those things. And yes, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things. Follow me on my socials that are scrolling below. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.